college for me it wasn't an absolute. Because neither of my parents went, I was never pushed in that direction. I actually decided to go to college round about the spring semester of my senior year, actually. Sitting in my AP English class, talking to my AP English teacher, she asked me where did I want to go to college, and I said I really hadn't thought about that yet. And we had the whole talk of, you haven't gone on any college visits, you haven't done anything, you haven't prepared, and I had no idea about that because my parents weren't pushing it. So I did what was the obvious thing for me to do in my head, was drive 10 miles down the road to the community college and go to their admissions office that afternoon and talk to them. And I made my decision that day that I was going to absolutely have higher education in my life. My English teacher, Miss McGray, she's the person who had the initial conversation with me, saying, I think you should try this. Also, my aunt, my mother's sister, was a teacher, and so she had pushed me in her own way in that direction for many years. And so, especially as I got to my senior year of high school, she started having those conversations with me as well, and telling me that that was really the thing for me to do, and that I was smart enough, and that, as she put it, it was a waste for me to not continue with education. Again, it was one of those things that just seemed like the natural thing to do. You start out at a smaller school, and then you go to the biggest school in the state. I had friends who had gone to other institutions and had good experiences with them. But the people who went to UK, I think, seemed to have more of a better academic life and social life. They seemed to balance things a lot more. And I was really attracted to that. I felt like I had a very good academic foundation starting where I did. I was ready to bring the social thing into it. And there were just so many things available at UK that I felt like I could get involved with. And I knew it was a large campus, and it was just far enough away from home that I wasn't, going to have impromptu visits from the parents without a little warning. And I knew some people that were here already, and that was a big help as well. So I knew that I would have some semblance of a support system when I started here, and that made that transition a lot better. I lived at Hagen Hall, which was a very different experience from living at home. I'm an only child, so up until that point in my life, had never had to share a room. That was my first roommate experience ever, and that was interesting. There was a lot of give and take in that situation. And then the idea that I was actually living where I was going to class was very different. The fact that I could get out of bed and walk 10 minutes to class as opposed to driving for 20 or 30 minutes was very different. Academically, coming to UK was a shock to my system. I was one of those students that throughout high school and in my years at community college, I could put in some work. I never felt like I was overexerting myself to get good grades. My first semester at UK, I believe I earned something around a 2.5. I had never had below a C in my life, and that happened that first semester. So it was a big learning experience to find out what university level study was. And I really felt like coming from the community college where I was, living at home, I had a familiar environment to be in. To get a bit of a foundation was a good thing for me, because had I had that kind of learning experience my freshman year, just knowing my personality, I probably would have given up. Also, just being in what for me was a very large city was very different. University of Kentucky campus student population is about the same size as my hometown. So I was in what is considered a small environment for this city that was my world prior to that point. So just learning to navigate Lexington, knowing where to find everything from the Walmart to where to hang out on the weekends and everything was a bit difficult at the beginning. Campus life for me started at a community college. I was the vice president of my student government there. And so I learned some really good leadership skills in that really helped me out when I got to UK. I did work within my residence hall government at Hagen when I started there. I didn't get involved in a lot of organizations when I was at UK, which is something that I look back on and wish I had. Because I didn't really know how to seek out the opportunities to even know what was really there. Now that I can see it from the advisor's perspective and have a really good handle on what's available on campus, that's the first thing I push to students is, your academics are great and they're really going to help you, but find these other things on campus that are going to really speak to your passions and to what you're really interested in to really develop you as a person. We'll handle the academic side. We'll get your basics and you'll learn all about math and you'll learn all about, your general ed stuff and major things, and that's great. But the things that are going to make you a better person are the outside the class stuff, and UK has a lot of that. I do academic advising in the College of Business, and I think about my visits with advisors when I was an undergrad at UK. And it's very interesting that the very things that I get frustrated with students are the things that I did when I was an undergrad. I went to my advisor at the 11th hour after something had already happened that was probably not fixable. I would oftentimes just drop in completely unannounced and expect them to just drop the world to handle my situation, and they did. So that was nice. It was nice having that kind of relationship. I worked with Betty Lorch in the psychology department for most of the time that I was here, and she was wonderful. I really enjoyed having her as an advisor. And I think about that kind of relationship, and that's really what I tried to emulate when I was here. There are many things that students will ask you as an advisor that are huge deals. Your job is to make it not seem like such a huge deal, I think a lot of the time. There's definitely the inside voice and the outside voice. And I've learned to project an outside voice that is very calming and very welcoming. And I think I've tried to emulate that from people that I experienced. I think about UK, first of all, is that it is a large campus, and it is going to be a very different academic situation than you're probably used to. However, the fact that UK is a large institution can really work in your benefit, and there are many ways of making it a much smaller place for you. There are a lot of different organizations to get involved with. If you get involved with even just within your residence hall, stuff going on there, start small. Get to know people and then find other people who are interested in things that you're interested in, and then you start building a community for yourself. And where a campus of 30, 35,000 people shrinks immensely so that it's more comfortable to you. I think a big thing about UK is you get involved in the UK culture, which is so rich in tradition, and it's a great thing to be a part of, but also don't forget about the community surrounding it. Lexington is a very culturally diverse place. It's a great place to just experience things you haven't seen before.